Following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope when you think of pinnacle racetracks in the world of motorsports, very few come to mind, but at the top of nearly every list, there's none other than the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The 2.5-mile track, constructed in 1909 with millions and millions of bricks, has honed Indy 500 races for over 100 years, and now a home for NASCAR stock car automobiles. Today, a very special night here in area as we pay homage to a very special cause, but also take to this very famed racetrack. Welcome everybody to PTR TV for today's coverage of the Area Cup Series, brought to you by the Studio Temporary, a very special event here, the Dan Pete Fish Cancer Awareness at the Brickyard. That is what we are racing on behalf of here today. A fellow friend of league driver Seth Berger succumbed to that horrible illness, and today we pay homage and memorialize all who have had family and issues with cancer. And in the booth, myself, Corey Silva, of course, in the truck as well. Brad Dalton helping me out with all of the commentary. So Brad, always fun to come to the Brickyard, the most famed track in North America, if not globally here. And of course, doing it for a special cause just adds more to the prize.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Always great to be here on Area Monday nights. And well, it's Indianapolis. What else can you say? We're running up to the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500 at the end of May. Practice actually starts tomorrow, so if you're looking for something to do tomorrow, practice might be on your radar to watch. But we got to run some cut cars around tonight, and I think that's going to be a little bit more fun than watching Indy 500 practice. Of course, the road course is a lot of fun on the infield as well, but there's just something about these four corners, and it's rare that we see a track that is distinctly four different corners, but here we are. That's what Indy brings, and it's going to be some great racing here tonight. 2.5 mile here on the stock car oval. It's going to be a great race, and again, Corey, as you said, an absolutely great cause to be supporting that. From my understanding, talking to league admin, is going to become a recurring annual event that they host.
Of course, many leagues do such. It's not the first time in PTR TV that we've done a race in honor of a fallen comrade, a fallen family member, league friend, whoever it may be. I've had family members succumb to cancer, and it's just something that we wish could be solved, could be cured, but we just hope and pray that one day that we head in a positive direction with that situation. But that is going to be the end of warm-up, and rather the end of qualifying, rather. And of course, if you're watching here on PTR TV, like, share, comment, subscribe on Twitch. Again, consider following, subscribing there. We'll get into that in further detail throughout the night. But we do want to bring up the driver who this race is especially on behalf of. He is the person who had a fallen comrade. And trying to find him here, Brad, if you can find him in our radio channels here.
Got him. He's in Berg Arts Motorsports, of course, and we'll bring him up here to the broadcast booth. Seth Berger, welcome in.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, obviously a very special night for you, and, you know, trying to pay homage to a lost friend. And cancer, obviously something that has affected many of us in our families. So just kind of talk about what this race means to you, and obviously, you know, your lost friend.
Yeah, it's definitely going to mean a lot. Definitely got a lot on the mind tonight. Going to try to do the best I can. Just want to say thanks to my teammates for running the special cancer awareness cars in the lavender color. which is the ribbon color for general cancer, all cancers. All cancers suck, not just one cancer. And yeah, just really wanted to push the message tonight of don't wait on that phone call to that loved one, and don't wait on that visit, because you never know when it's going to be too late. And unfortunately, it was too late for me to go visit. Just want to say thanks to Area Jacob Bell for allowing this to be a charity kind of night. I want to thank you guys for buying in on this charity night, and recommend everyone go donate any dollar that they could to a cancer charity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, that's about all I got.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whether it be cancer, whether it be a car accident, whether it be anything, you just never know when that last phone call conversation may be. And of course, as you said, very powerful words is take advantage of every opportunity, because you never know when the last one's going to be. Don't want you to get too choked up, man. Big race here today. Go get it and try to have a good run for him, man.
Awesome, thank you. Rest in peace, Dan. And Beth, I hope you appreciate this. This is my attempt at making it right.
Absolutely, my friend. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Well, he didn't think he was going to get through that, Brad. So I got to give him all the power there, because he trudged on through it here. And obviously very difficult there. We'll put the logo on the screen on the top right there, the Dan Fish Cancer Awareness. And I know he is actually offering a custom ribbon. I think he puts on custom jackets for different champions in such an area, actually giving away a custom ribbon for winning this race. So a little extra physical prize. But to get back into just the nature of a regular event here, for area, here's the point standing. Seth Noel up by 22 over Scioli. Jake Nichols there in third. A very, very spread out, Brad. Top 10 here in points. Of course, the 12 make it into the chase, but just following the top 10 for now. Van Drugman, he is just so quick every week, but very separated here between the top 10.
Yeah, I think the most shocking part for me is looking at the fact that Van Drugman has won 3 events, but it goes to show consistency, it pays off. You've got Seth Noel up at the top, but for the fact that Van Drugman with 3 events won is so far down the order, I mean, consistency is key. You've got to keep it together throughout the season. Hope to see Van Drugman be able to really capitalize through the rest of the season and start to balance it out a bit more, have some better results, and work up the board, because 3 of 6 races won, but you're sitting outside of the top 5 in points. That's pretty rough, I'm not going to lie.
Absolutely, and as the season, we're already on race number 7, so the season is chugging along rather quickly, more quickly than you would think. We'll be starting our chase in July, which if you're watching this live, which many of you are, it's only 2.5 months away, so about, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 races to get yourself solidified in that top 10. But of course, again, if you're watching on PTR TV, consider helping us out there. And if you're watching on Twitch, you can consider hitting the follow button there, as well as subscribing. Get yourself double points, get your custom emotes, don't run the road course, and then you can also turn those double points. I'm just distracted because he's running the road course. You can get those double points, turn them into free merch. But now we'll head down trackside for that Central Mobile Homes starting lineup here at the Brickyard. For all you looking for that new shed, Triple Crown trailer or home, serving Florida customers for 30 years, which custom shed designs, floor plans, and Triple Crown trailers in LaBelle, Okeechobee, Clewiston, and Sebring. Head to centralmobilehomesinc.com for more information, Brad. But let's head down trackside as that timer is ticking on over, and let's get ready for a race here at the Brickyard.
And kicking things off here in the front row will be Sebastian Marin alongside James Scioli to kick off this run. P3 here on the night, Logan Helton with Cole Hooper in 4th place. 5th place here on the night, we're going to move to Dylan Alt with Philip Groner in the number 11 and P6. 7th place here will be Van Drugman trying to move forward here with David Weishart in 8th place. 9th place, Douglas Newbigging with Jake Nichols rounding out our top 10.
11th place on the day, we have Gavin Rogers, and then Jeremy Miller. He is probably the most interesting driver to watch in the field. We'll see how he can get through the grid here at the Brickyard. Adre Stravato in 13th with Travis Beckner, our Hendry County flagman, in 14th. Garrett Grant in 15th with Tyler Nichols in the 16th spot. 17th, we got the Moose, Patrick Moose and Michael Curhan. You could get your area swag just like him. We'll talk about that later in the race. Alex McCullum in 19th with Adam Cabot in number 20.
Drew Jewell will round out 21st place with Reese Schaefer to his outside in the number 97. 22nd place, 23rd place here on the night. We're going to move along here to Jarrett Talmage and Justin Anasogak in 24th. 25th, Jacob Harberts with Frankie Barroso in 26th. 27th place here, Seth Berger with Josh Caudle. And then 28th will be Brett Bunkari. Hayden Swank will round out 30th.
And then we'll head out to the 31st spot. We have Jacob Bell, Bryce Senesac in 32nd, and we'll let the rest of them scroll on through because, as we know, with different penalties and stuff of sorts, which there's a lot of them here today, the rest of these are going to be kind of thrown up in the air with everyone starts. Kwame Scott, haven't seen him in a few weeks' time, but actually we won't see him. He DNQ'd here today along with the number 8 of Brad Slaughter Jr. So we did have more than a full grid of drivers here at Indy, and that is not something that you see too often. Our race details here, we have, of course, our fixed setups with 4 sets of Goodyear tires in the pits. Hopefully we won't be shredding them a la 2008 status. No backup car and 3 green-white checkers, Brad. And I just came up with these, just knowing what we know about this next-gen car at high-speed flat tracks. Here's our keys to the race.
Dirty air, dirty air. If confused, please refer to 1 and 2. You know what? I couldn't have said it better myself. Talk about a way to shake up a race. Dirty air is gonna do it. And these cars,
dirty
if you want to talk about
too.
driving a brick, what in the world? Why is the track so dirty?
I mean, I don't refer to Indianapolis as being in a desert of sorts, but it is quite dirty here, so these drivers will be dusting off that lane, Luke Bryan style here. Let's take a look at the weather from Speedway, Indiana. You know a track is a racetrack when the actual town is called Speedway. 72 in the air, 93 track. We're racing a little bit later in the afternoon, 3:30, so if anything, a little bit more grip, but we did hear a little pre-race analytics there, Brad, from the race. The league admin, Jacob Bell, fueled 35 to 38 laps. This is a 74 lap race, so we are told that it's right on the number. You might have some guys putting, you might have some guys saving and going full bore, but if we have a single caution, that strategy is probably in the toaster. I don't know why I said in the toaster.
I don't know that I'd say if we have a single caution. I would just say that strategy is probably in the toaster, because I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, these cars have been fighting the drivers out of 2 and 4 from what I've heard. So it'll be interesting to really watch how this goes. Corey, my prediction, 3 cautions.
Well, let's see what happens here. Are we going to get a second pace lap? We usually do, but I think it's a long enough lap. We might get going this time by, and yes, we will. The Dan Pete Fish Cancer Awareness at the Brickyard, 74 laps around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's going to be Scioli and Halton on the front row on the loud pedal. We're racing here in Indy. And we're nearly 3 wide into turn 1. Oh, wiggle.
Oh, no! How did he save it?
In the middle.
63 of Logan Helton save it.
He got a big wiggle there in the middle. Cold tires, dirty track, maybe some dirty air off the nose or off the rear air grief, but great save there. That could have been catastrophic with 43 cars right behind him in the first corner.
Somehow saves it, retains his way down into P11 as we go through turn 4. 2.5-mile track. This is a long distance to cover and a lot of straightaway to try to hold it through. You see up in the front, Dylan All already up into second place with David Weishart and Jake Nichols back behind. Van Drugman in 5th, trying to settle in, and look at the 73. Jake Nichols trying to peek down the inside here on Weishart to 1 and 2, trying to hold that line. They'll single file back up here, and coming into 2 out of the short chute. This corner, it's very interesting because you have that short chute and you have to kind of nurse the car around and kind of coax it a little bit to actually go through.
Pull in that side draft as well, because you saw through 2 Weishart didn't get all the way down to that curb below the white line, wrapping the car around. You don't want to touch that curb, but you want to get close as you can. But any bit of clean air you can get on the nose, Brad, even if it's a foot or two, that is going to give you immense amounts more downforce. And surprisingly, the outside hanging on, Weishart making a charge there, and you will have some pretty significant slipstream with these draggy next-gen cars.
Yeah, and that slipstream can make such a difference. One of the things that I would expect to see is, well, something I'm used to seeing in karting, honestly, Corey. It's going to be a bit of leapfrogging down the front stretch is what I'm going to be looking for. And that's going to be drivers, you know, they'll follow through, utilize the draft a bit, and then what they'll do is once they get that draft running along, they'll take advantage of it, jump up to the position ahead, and then settle back into a line and let the person behind pull back behind them to keep that draft going. It's a very, you have to have a friend to really pull it off, but if you've got friends to work with, it works really well.
You definitely can. It's just hard here at Indy to make your friend happy in the middle of the corner because you're going to put their air on, but you can definitely work the draft. But here is what happens here at Indy, Brad. We now have a 43-car snake, which how much of this is fuel saving? How much of this is strategy? How much of it is you just can't bloody pass because you can't get the car to turn with the dirty air on the nose? This is what we fought about coming to the oval. You know, we ran the road course here for many years and everyone complained about it. But this is what we were missing coming back to the oval is you just can't pass.
Yeah, you've got to think about it a bit to really go for that pass. So watching just this single file run start out, this is exactly where everyone from basically third place back needs to be. Top two, of course, they're going to battle it out. Scioli and Alt, they are going to continue to fight through. But third place back, I mean, they're going to just hold that line, sit through. And I bet if we hop on board with some of these guys further through the pack, none of them are really holding it wide open or at 100%. They're probably at like 90-ish, doing a bit of fuel saving. Here we are with Drew Giwa, and coming in the short chute.
Still like in fourth, so he's not saving too much, Brad, because if he was in full save mode, you'd be in fifth trying to run as few RPMs as possible.
I think he's trying to do something right now. I don't think it's a lot. And I think that's one of those things that it depends.
And you missed that week, Brad, at Michigan, where talk about Drew and fuel saving in the same vein. I don't know if you caught any of that VOD stream, but
yep,
missed it at Michigan by about 7 drops of fuel getting off turn number 4 there. So a fuel mileage race will bring up nightmares for Drew in that 96. A lot of drivers did have to start at the rear of the field, namely the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sebastian Marin, and he has managed to claw up a little bit, passing Josh Caudell on the outside, Connor Horn in a different paint scheme here today, which, taking a look at AmericanFishes.com. Fishes? I thought it was just fish. I thought fish was its own plural, but evidently not.
Fishes, I don't really know. So, yeah, you're asking the wrong person about a grammatical question, but either way, whoa, what is happening in the background going all the way down? Oh, that's all the way in the back of the pack, swerving through.
Well, someone we need to get the camera on. We haven't, because he wasn't on the racetrack when I was talking to him, so I couldn't focus on his car. But all the team cars for Seth Berger there, running that Rip Dan Petefish Cancer paint scheme. Really nice chrome on that car as well. But in request of him and in honor of Dan, a silent lap 7. All right, again, Silent Lap 7 in honor of Seth and in honor of Dan. We do have Dan's sister Beth in our YouTube chat, and it is quite frequent here. Lucky Ducks Motorsports. There's a couple other people that are regulars in our YouTube chat that will throw us a buck or two, sometimes more for super chats. We request that any super chats here today, Beth, if you are still available, put any PayPal, GoFundMe, any link of sorts, or whether it's just a cancer donation, anything that you would give us tonight, please send it to a more appropriate cause. We're getting by over here at PTR TV. We appreciate it nonetheless. But again, anything that if you were going to send us $2 or $5, send it to a better cause here on this evening, please.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that, and can't echo that sentiment enough. So definitely, whole thing sucks. There's a certain word I would say in front of the word cancer, but we are, of course, a
it rhymes with the word quack.
So.
Well, it rhymes with an animal that says quack.
Yes, indeed, it does, and I can't say that on the broadcast, so I won't say it. But what I will say is James Scioli currently leading, Dylan Alt and David Weishart. Van Druckmann's moved up to 4th. Oh, we're starting to see those exits into the short chute pick up here, Corey.
Well, and you can see the damage to that right front, little scuff marks there. Hopefully that's all it is just the paint, but that was a good bit of damage. So you can, basically what the reason is that these drivers are getting so loose on corner exit, and it's kind of a push loose, is you're so tight in the center of the corner. You have so much wheel into the car, getting it to turn, and then when it finally does turn, right about here, oh crap, now you have the wheel probably about 25 degrees turn farther to the left than you want, and now it bites, and now you're dead sideways. It's kind of the old push loose syndrome that a lot of us know all too well.
Yeah, that's one of those that if you ever catch me out on the track, you're probably going to see me do it, I'm going to be honest. That's just one of my bad habits in driving. There's a reason that I spend a lot of time up in the booth, because my racing career was never quite as successful as others, as is the trend. Coming up, lap 11 of 74 starting off now, and, well, I mean, this is going to be a lot of tonight, is a lot of single file runs, single file holds, and just trying to maintain your gap, maintain your rhythm. We're starting to see a bit of a breakaway here. We're looking back at Logan Helton and AJ Stravado. It's a little bit of a gap forming there to Alex McCollum and the top 9. If that gap forms too much, Corey, they break, they lose the draft, and, well, things settle in here into weird cat groups, which is not going to play out well for anyone who really wants to try to leapfrog their way forward.
Of course, here at the Brickyard, NASCAR has tried a myriad of different strategies and aero packages. I go back to Jeff Gordon's last year. I think they literally had a 9-inch spoiler here trying to get draft. And, you know, at the Xfinity Nopes car, they basically tapered the spacer and ran a super speedway package here, and the racing has actually been pretty decent. They should still be at IRP, but that's a podcast topic. But a lot of different things done to try to make the racing better here. But this, again, this is just kind of the next gen. These guys are trying the best they can. The only person who's really making any progress, take a guess, it's Sebastian Marin. Basically the SVG of oval racing here at this point. If anybody can go basically last to first on a track that you can't pass on, it's going to be that 66.
Sebastian Marin is just a different animal in a cup car. I don't know what it is. Sebastian Marin is just a beast. And honestly, I almost feel like saying in a cup car is restricting Sebastian, because Marin here, I mean, can be in a different league in pretty much any car that Sebastian Marin wants to be in. That's the crazy thing, that there's skill beyond just a cup car. If you look at Thursday nights, I mean, Sebastian Marin does great there. Sebastian Marin, I bet if Marin was running full-time on Tuesday nights, Sebastian Marin would be an absolute beast as well. So, again, I feel bad limiting and saying great in a cup car, but that's just where we tend to see Sebastian the most.
As we come on through, yeah, Sebastian, I mean, I don't know if he's going to race tomorrow night, Brad. The truck series here might be a different animal with much more pack racing than normal. We do have side-by-side racing. Alex McCullum, Travis Beckner. That side-by-side has quickly eradicated, but we do see side-by-side Adam Cabot and, who's that? Tyler Nichols trying to make a move there, but not to be had. Going all the way back, who do we have? Oh, what perfect sponsorship shot is this, Brad? We have 2 area sponsor cars running in quick succession here. Of course, you could go to shop.areairacing.com. You get all your merch at very good prices. T-shirts, hats, Adidas clothing, and other accessories. Easy to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. Shop.areairacing.com. And then while you're wearing your swag, you can go out and be by your pool that has been designed by Blue Tip Pool Builders to a unique aesthetic with skilled craftsmen using high-tech technology even better. And if you don't have pool, they can make your dynamic outdoor space look all nice and fly. Head to bluetippools.com. That couldn't have worked out any better if I tried. 2 for the price of 1. And here comes Van Drugman.
Van Drugman there, LVV Racing, trying to have a strong run up in the front, moving up for second place, holding on with the Boyd car there. Dylan Alt will slot back in. Weishart taps the wall behind them, and, well, Van Drugman, I tell you what, if there's anyone who can give Sebastian Marin a run for the money, it seems to be Van Drugman time and time again here. Moving up into second place, now trying to chase down James Scioli half a second or so back as they continue to race their way along. We're halfway through the fuel run, too. And, well, hey, Van Drugman, don't hit a wall on the exit. That doesn't help you get faster.
Yeah, he has. Unless there's some strategy to affecting the fender to somehow make the car turn better. I don't know. And Jake Nichols going on the outside at Indianapolis voluntarily to make a pass. Now I think I've seen just about everything here, but that groove is starting to get darkened in and slick, and that's Gavin Rogers, who will try to sneak in behind, but then ends up putting himself in the wall. But the outside lane coming in at Indy voluntarily, Brad. I mean, I know it happens, you know. We've seen it in the real world. It's just not a commonality.
It's not at all. And, I mean, when it does work, though, it works well. It's absolutely, you know, it's the fun of Indy. It's absolutely crazy. So, just this track, I know people say, oh, they're going to spread single file and run through. I enjoy this track, and maybe that's the fact that I enjoy the Indy 500 a lot, and watching how it goes is just, you know, the fun of this track. And when you get into that position, of course, the Indy drivers, they snake and slalom down the front stretch. NASCAR can't do that, but it's still a lot of fun to watch nevertheless, how these drivers handle things and how they get these bricks around a brickyard.
Yeah, no pun intended. I think it was 2.5 million bricks to build this place back in the early 1900s. The only reason I know that is because Bob Jenkins told me when I was playing NASCAR 2000 when he did his little random track facts. And there still is some of the original brickwork on the front stretch right at the start-finish line. There is that line of bricks here, that famous line of bricks, and that will... I think it's one of the few remaining segments. They actually, I don't know if you saw this, Brad. They actually did a asphalt, what's that thing called when they do like that layer check of the pavement going back, you know, to get the surface level structure. You could literally see asphalt, and you could see the original bricks still actually in place deep under the surface.
I almost feel like we need to try to find that photo and put it on the broadcast, but I'm scared of getting a copyright strike at the same time. But yeah, that was one of the coolest things from that Indy redo, repave, dig down, whatever you want to call it, where they showed just those multitude of layers on the track. It's such a unique experience, and it reminds us just how old this track truly is and how long it's been holding racing. 110th Indy 500 is this year, so I'll leave that to you all to do the math.
Absolutely. As some bump drafting, Frankie Barroso is in the top 10 in the points, pushing Josh Caudell here. And here we go for the second spot. Rather than in the second spot, Van Drugman, who has, again, kissed the wall many times here today, but it hasn't taken that car out of maximum performance, evidently, as he's broken the bubble, trying to get to Scioli. You can see there Dylan Alt just getting a little bit of clean air on the nose, and just that little bit definitely helps. Now he's looking to the outside.
Trying to look to the outside here to get back through. Pass back on Van Drugman, coming out of 4 down the front stretch. It's going to hold right there to the rear and continue along, trying to look through. Find a way. A little bit of snaking starting up in the front. I think James Scioli might be feeling a little bit of pressure here. Back in the back, 96 of Drew Jiwa trying to go up the inside of Michael Curran, the 24, and, well, holding through, going along, and isn't able to get past. That lets Adam Cabot get a little bit of a run here, going out onto the backstretch. He's going to try to dip to the inside, pull a little side draft, and this shows you just how long the field has gotten here. We're looking back P12, 13, and you can still see the back of the field coming down the start of the backstretch.
Yeah, Sebastian clearing, who is that? Jacob Harberts, putting him up into the 17th spot right now. Harberts down to 18th, and Sebastian 6 seconds off of the lead, so he's going to need some help, Brad, but we are what should be about halfway through a fuel stint. We have run clean and green here for the first 21 laps here in the Dan Pete Fish Cancer Awareness at the Brickyard. Again, we appreciate the super chats we did get. We are going to try and find some information to forward those to the family. If we could find a link, we will share it, because YouTube does take 30% of the super chats. We'd rather all of the family get all of the money. So please hold any further donations until we can get a more direct link, but we will be forwarding those to the family, Beth and company. But Dylan Alt lost the spot to Van Drugman, but now closing right back to that rear deck lid. Got a good run through 3 and 4, and now trying to see if he can get any kind of draft down the straightaway. Actually, now lost a little bit of time. Just can't get through that dirty air, Brad. And getting tight. You can see him wiggling up the track there, just trying to keep it out of the fence.
And that wiggle there, trying to keep things out of the fence, keep things through, that is such a hard position to find yourself in, because all you want to do here at Indy, and I'm speaking from experience on the multitude of times I've totaled cars on the late end of a fuel run, running in multitudes of places, a lot of times with triple bypass through the week, is the fact that all you want to do is just stay in the throttle. You don't want to lift at all. This track is 2.5 miles, and in your head you're saying, I shouldn't have to lift. I shouldn't have to get off the throttle to keep this car going. I should be able to just stay flat in it and go. But no, you have to work the car through, and you have to hold a little bit of perseverance to get your way along. But it's such a unique feel in driving, and if you're not prepared for it, you're going to do exactly what we're seeing guys doing in that little millisecond of run and smack that outside wall on the exit.
The onboard with Gavin Rogers there, our Whiplash Simcams on board. You can go to Whiplash Simcams on Facebook and get some of the angles that we have here on tonight's broadcast. Travis Beckner still looking to break into victory lane in any of the series. He's had a couple good runs, can't pull a full race together, but I know he will be able to at some point. Of course, you can check him out at Hendry County Motorsports Park. He'll be on the flag stand, but you can be in the stands. Tickets $20 for adults. Discounts available for seniors and kids. Kids age 5 and under get in free. You can come see racing at the southernmost dirt track in America in Clewiston off US 27 at henryracing.com here. But we are seeing some drivers they're trying, Brad. I mean, I feel like it's actually easier to pass in the middle of the pack where everyone's in dirty air. It's kind of like the levelizer, the equalizer of sorts, as opposed to up front where, Scioli has all the air, Van Drugman has none of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the passes we see are going to come down into the pit lane. I think that's really where we're going to see a lot of the, luck and skill show itself, is who's practiced a green flag stop, who hasn't, and who can get in and out of the pits the quickest and the cleanest. No black flags, and run it right to the line, slow it down, get through, get in the box, get out and go. I think that's really going to be where we see the most attrition come through, because right now Van Druckmann just sort of stuck. As I'm saying that, of course, the gap floating around 2/10, but getting that opportunity to pass so hard here. It is still closing a bit through the back stretch and the front stretch, but it's that cornering and short shoot where Van Druckmann just can't seem to hold on to it.
Yeah, that's just where he loses it. Then he tries to get some of it back via the draft here. Travis Beckner losing a spot to Logan Helton here, and that is going to put Travis back to the top 10. But as you said, Brad, it's what we always look for here at the channel when we're looking at the timing screen. We're looking to see gaps that are in the teens, in the 0.1. When they're 0.1, it's a pretty close battle, and that's what you see up front here. It's 0.1, but then entering the corner, he loses the downforce on the nose. Now it falls back closer to 2/10. You got a little bit better run off the corner. Again, it's all live telemetry. And then just no air off the corner. Now it's back to 2. Now it may push 3. He didn't get off the corner that well. But now the big draggy next gen gets that draft down the straightaway. That puts it back a little closer. But it's about breaking that 1/10 bubble, Brad. It's just so hard to do it.
Yeah, there's just not a good way to do it at this point either, is the problem. And honestly, if I'm Van Druckmann, I may not be worried about it. I almost don't know if Van Druckmann should be worried about busting that bubble. Back here, we've got some great battling starting along. The 00 in the mix here coming through. And, well, for a second, they were 2 wide, pushing 3 wide. And then it comes back down to close back out, go back single file. A little bit of snaking here also happening as we hop on board. Swank trying to send it down the inside and trying to hold on into 1 and 2 side by side with the 69.
Alaskan Assassin, Justin Anasogak. Haven't really talked about him much this year. Swank really couldn't keep it down there. Drifted up the track. Now the 70 of John Forbes Jr., who is a top 10 driver in points, but well far back in the field, just going to give a huge bump draft. And Bob's your uncle in the negative direction. Anasogak going to lose 2 spots, but now Swank hits the wall.
Oh. Big hit there to the back of Swank.
You can see Hayden Swank up in the wall, and then Justin Anasogak, absolutely just nothing he could do there. He just, I mean, what are you going to do? You have 0.1 milliseconds to react, and here at Indianapolis, any bit of damage. You can see that concave front nose now. That don't add downforce, that's for sure.
How did John Forbes Jr. not absolutely dump the car either right then? Reacting to pull all the way to the left, but did not lose it. Like, how? That was impressive all the way through. Look at Sebastian Marin here chasing down Adam Cabot, the Season 4 Monday Night Racing champion here for 609 Motorsports. And Marin just sticking right to the back here with a JS Studio paint scheme and continuing to close up here on the way forward.
And what's in front of him right now, that is Michael Curhan and that number 24. As Sebastian has cracked the top 15, and I'm pretty sure, Brad, last time I referenced Sebastian's delta to the lead, it was 5.8 seconds. 5.6, so he's actually a little bit ahead of schedule. He's actually gained a little bit of time, even through all this dirty air, all through this traffic. As I think that was the 96 of Jua missed the corner. But we are closing in now on a very pivotal time, Brad. We're hitting lap number 30. We heard 35 to 38 laps was going to be the magic number on fuel. Now, 38 times 2, I can do that, I think, and it's 76. So, if 38 times 2 is 76, that means if you can go 38 laps, you can make this. But we also were told that 35 is the bottom end of the fuel range. So, it's going to be a matter. Can you go to 35? Can you go to 36? If you go to 37 and 38, you're probably okay.
You're okay as long as there's no green-white checkers, which here in area has been something that they have not hesitated to cash in on green-white checkered runs when needed. Now, granted, Indy is being Indy right now, so you never know how this is going to go, as we see the number 3 trying to make some moves here in the back of the pack, trying to find some ways along, and just a lot of good shuffling starting to happen as we close in the fuel window. I think some drivers have really saved up on fuel, and now as we get closer to the pit stops, they're deciding to kind of capitalize a bit is that 24, Michael Quirahan, trying to work down the inside. Here comes Marin working the outside, though, down the front stretch.
And just behind that is Jarrett Tallmadge here. Something we haven't really talked about today is lap times and tire degradation, however you want to enunciate it here, however you want to describe it. Let's take a look at our leader, because this will give us the easiest clean-cut number. A 31, basically let's call it a 52 flat to a 52.6. So we're only down about 0.6 of a second, as I think that was Alex McCullum, that white car, pretty hard hit to the wall. So we're not too bad on tire deg, Brad. Still going to be 4 tires and fuel, but that's going to eliminate, oops, sorry about that. That's going to eliminate a lot of the overcut, undercut, because there's not too much of a difference here today.
Yeah, that lack of tire degradation kind of catching me off guard, to be honest, because that's something that usually, being that wonderful tire whisperer, can make such a difference in a race. And, well, that's not really a factor here right now, going through looking at lap times. And whenever you take out that sort of tire whisperer effect, it makes me wonder, who's going to get cheeky in a pit stop? Who's going to go fuel only? Who's going 2 tires? Who's going 4 tires and thinks that that's a difference when it's truly not? Who wants to really push the envelope here? I'll tell you right now, if I'm James Scioli and Van Drugman, I'm doing some calculations and probably asking the crew chief what in the world, excuse me, we think the best strategy is.
Oh, Sebastian right to the rear decklet of Adam Cabot there with minimal opportunity to evade. He really got on his left rear spoiler there and gets to the inside here off the 4, but who's going to be behind Jarrett Tallmadge? Is he going to provide any draft? I think he's too far back, but Marin will have to pull back into line. Going a little further up, we do have the 75 of Gavin Rogers, Jeremy Miller, who you know it's hard to pass, Brad, when Jeremy Miller is a quiet driver in a race, because really haven't talked about him at all, which a little wiggle there, but I mean, no, he's like, all right, you guys, no, I'm giving you something to talk about. We're Indy 500 snaking down the back.
All right, well, what's really wild is whenever you start seeing Cup cars slaloming and snaking their way up and down the run here in Indy, that is when you know some hard racing is starting to occur here. And look at Marin working the outside here, trying to move up a bit further, stays out of the wall, and, well, look up in the front. We're seeing a bit more of that slaloming start and that snake draft occur. Oh, that's blocking. That's not even slaloming. I hate to say it.
One move is fair game, 2 moves gets you penalized in every other form of motorsport except in NASCAR. So, Brad, you're a road racer. I know the NASCAR rules don't always fancy you, but we won't get into that. That's a podcast topic, but huge run off the corner for Logan Helton. I mean, he's going to look to the inside, can't quite get to the left rear, but we're not seeing the inside be the passing groove. We're seeing the outside be the passing groove, which I think is why he went full bananas in there, but I think maybe a little too bananas, missed the line there.
It seems like that outside line being the passing groove, it seems like just the setup is working so much better and letting these drivers work that outside line and run along here than what you would think. And honestly, I'm enjoying it a lot, seeing the drivers be able to work that outside line and run through, as opposed to just, you know, trying to stick a nose to the inside, hoping to get through. I think this is just a much better position to really see drivers be able to do, and it's starting to bring some good racing. Again, as the cars have lightened up, as we're getting closer and closer, we're officially in the pit window from what we were told. This is where things really start to heat up, because who does what, where, for why.
Yeah, if you, well, oh, you said that pretty well. Is that a new slogan? You never said that before. I like it, though.
Have I really not said that before? I say that a lot.
I mean, I also don't listen to
I say that a lot. Maybe not in broadcast, but
I also don't listen to stuff you say anyways. But anyways, we're commentators. Okay. We don't listen to each other. I mean, come on here. But we are at that point. We're past the first lap that everybody said. So 35, everyone, again, you're trying to get to 37. You're trying to get to 37 because that means you can make it to the end. And of course, we had a pace lap, so technically you actually have a little bit less fuel than you would just because of that pace lap. Travis Beckner with a wiggle there out of the corner as Sebastian trying to knock on the top 10. up to 11th.
I cannot believe that Sebastian Marin is knocking on the top 10. Can we talk about how ridiculous this is for a second?
Well, he's knocking, but unlike that song by some guy from the 60s, he keeps on knocking, but he did come in. Realized about halfway through that I didn't want to finish that, but I had diverging. Yeah. James Scioli here, and here we go. First pit stop of the day, and that's going to be David Weishart. Now, Brad, our broadcast last night had pit stop penalties aplenty here. You can see that yellow cone. I think that's where you need to be at the speed limit. So again, we'll see if everyone plays nicely with the cops there in the pits. Somebody else peeling in there too, back of the shot. I think that is David Brown. He has that number 1 pit stall. Well, I guess number 43 pit stall, I should say.
I think that 43 pit stall is a good pit stall to have too, honestly, going through, because it's a interesting position to find yourself back in that run. So you get into the pits quickly, get to stop, but then you have that long, over a mile run through this pit lane to get through more cars in. Is that Van Drugman? It is.
Now this is 37 to 38. So technically, I mean, this puts him on the nose. But if you can make it this next lap, you're not on the nose, you're in the nose. So Ben, if you're watching this and you're trying to make the recap out of my commentary tonight, I apologize. I'm not EA Sports. I'm not in the game here today. But everybody in the pits here, again, this gets you right to the number, but this extra lap that Scioli's trying to do right now, this gets him above the number where he can theoretically have a 1-lap bubble. But the problem is he may lose 0.7 of a second because of the tire deck.
Yeah, I think that 1-lap bubble, though, is going to be so important to actually get. I think looking at how things are going, that 1-lap bubble is going to truly make a difference here. So it's good to see that coming through. More of the field pulling in. Who is staying out, though?
Logan Helton.
Well, and more than Logan Helton. Look at that.
Tyler Nichols on the racetrack. Reese Schaefer, Frankie Barroso. So again, at this point, we do have, I believe, 1 black flag on the board here, and it's showing as, I want to say, Seth Noel. Black flag.
What did Seth Noel do?
Seth
Noel
probably sped on entry, which means it's going to be a 40-second hold on his pit box. Which...
that hurts.
I mean, at Indy, it'll only be 1 lap down, most likely. 1 going to 2, but still. But also, how much fuel is in that number 63 car? Evidently, quite a lot of it here. But here comes everybody else into the pits, and we'll see how the gap is up front. Here comes Scioli blending, and that's Van Drugman already passing right there. So Scioli, that 1 lap. Dylan Alt also passing Scioli in the pits as well. So that's a -2 net pit stop loss for James Scioli. Van Drugman up front. Let's take a gander at if any strategies were put into play here. 14.6, 15 flat, 15.7 for Scioli. Is that that's actually quite slow, even for the pit stop variance usually.
That's him trying to be conservative, is what that is. That is just a case of.
But that was the box time, Brad.
Conservative and
the box time 15.7, so that's out of his control.
Was he texting? What were you doing? Texting and driving? I don't know what else he could have been doing at that point, honestly.
Reese Schaefer, another one of the drivers, sporting the Dan Peakfish honorary paint scheme here today, and this will give the lead to Ryan Swan, who will quickly give it back up. And now, I mean, Brad, he was faster for a while. He dropped back. I think maybe he overused the tires trying to get back by, but he has the lead. He has it by a sizable margin. He's out of the draft range right now, so they can't really get a toe on him at this gap. I mean, we have a race with green flag flair, and we have a 3-time winner looking for 4 out of 7 on the season. It's very early, but Vegas odds just went significantly in his favor. And Boss Man getting a black flag there. Jacob Bell showing a black flag on the screen.
Yeah, I'm not a betting man, but if I had to place some bets, I can tell you where my money would go at this point, because it's a very clear indicator of who is really in a good spot right now and who isn't. And obviously, I mean, when you have a driver that is just absolutely killing the game, and again, going for 4 of 7, going for a majority of races won, and they're in this position they're in, it's hard to, I don't know, it's hard to bet against, but at the same time, I kind of, looking at it, I don't know that I'm sold on it at this point.
And right now, last time through, actually, look at Dylan Alt taking a sizable chunk. Van Drugman actually the slowest by far on that lap. So maybe, again, those Vegas odds makers don't get a little bit too deep into the rabbit hole yet, because Dylan Alt trying to take any chunk out of that gap that he possibly can here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We obviously thank Hunter Sleppy and what he does, giving us the back-end analytics and race averages. We do average here in the 3 prior Cup races here at Indianapolis, 4, 5, and 6 seasons here in Area Cup Series. James Scioli did win season 4, but we have a trend of 2 cautions, so we're well below that. Last season 6 race here, Brad, 85 lap to go was the final caution. So that meant this race was actually longer a few seasons ago. We did have 1 overtime finish in season 5, and the caution in season 4 came out with 30 to go. So outside of 1 race, we do have long runs here at the Brickyard.
That is absolutely wild to think about, the fact that it was 85 laps to go for the last caution last time we were here. So, I mean, all that tells me at this point is the fact that these drivers at Indy know how to settle into a run and have some rhythm. I know we've had some double and using all of the runs on, what am I trying to say? Green, white checkers. That's what I'm trying to say. I know we've had some moments where drivers have really liked to utilize the green, white checkers, but here, looking at it today, it seems like they're definitely feeling good, and I almost don't even feel bad saying that. I don't feel like I'm commentary cursing anything, because these drivers are just running that doggone good.
Now, of course, stay tuned tomorrow night, where we will take the tough trucks out here to the Brickyard, which they have never done in the real world. Of course, the trucks go to the track that the feeder series should be going to, about 30 miles, I think it's east of this place. I don't know what direction it is, but as they head to Claremont, Indiana at Lucas Oil Raceway at IRP. I know Cletus just held the Freedom 500 there, I think not too long ago, but they will be there in the real world, but we will be taking the trucks here to the big track tomorrow night. So I don't really know what to expect, and the trucks have just underwent a new aero package that drivers are acclimating to, so we'll see how that fares. And we'll also be here next week, or rather on Thursday, with the Nopes cars, as we are back in triple header mode here in area. Next week we'll be at Dover for a triple header, and then Darlington as a triple header. And then the All-Star race. I don't really know anything about the All-Star race yet, but that's about the next month of racing here, all on your exclusive home, PTR TV, or the Area iRacing Twitch. But Dylan Alt has closed in to within about 0.6 of a second here, and as this does go on, we're just going to step aside for a brief little break, and we'll be back with you guys in a jiffy, so please stay with us. All right, we're back here on PTR TV, the Area Cup Series presented by the Studio Temporary, the Dan Pete Fish Cancer Awareness at the Brickyard. On behalf of Seth Berger's longtime friend, we are honoring cancer, and any who have lost family members, have dealt with it themselves, all the negativity of that. We're trying to think positive of negative situations and enjoying a good night at the track. Myself, Corey Silva in the booth, Brad Dalton helping me out with the calls here. We are clean and green here for now, going on 50 laps. Van Drugman was up on the pit cycle. He got the lead over James Scioli, who's now back to third, but he had a second lead, Brad, and it is no longer a second. Dylan Alt now stuck in that bubble. Can he break it, though?
It's going to be hard. I mean, we saw how difficult it was even for Van Drugman to get through and try to break the bubble. So, I mean, Dylan Alt being there, I mean, hats off, kudos to you. But, I mean, even at this point, I don't know how easy it's going to be for anyone to break through and get along. I mean, I'm going to sit and watch and, you know, fingers crossed I'm wrong and we get an absolutely wild battle for the lead. But I would not expect anything crazy to happen right now. Then again, I've been wrong before because we have stuff like this in the background where we have drivers going side by side, almost breaking it 3 wide.
And that is John Forbes. That is AJ Stravato. That is, I think, Jarrett Tallmadge leading that. Michael Curhan, who has fallen back, but who has not fallen back. Whoa, we're blocking all the way down in the chute there. That's not something you see every day. AJ Stravato got the worst end of that stick, and Michael Curhan trying to fill in the gap. Of course, Sebastian Marin, who I think qualified. Would he qualify on the pole? Yeah, he started on the pole, but EOL from last week and other penalties and all that fun stuff had to start at the back of the field, has driven up to 5th with no assistance from a strategy call or caution flag. He's driven from the back to a front on a track that's very hard to pass, and he's only 5 seconds off the lead. That is it's just unreal stuff. I don't see him being able to gain 5 seconds on these two, Alt and Van Drugman. But if he does, man, wow. But he's on the same straightaway. That's crazy stuff. If these guys get to racing, Brad, and they slow each other up, in the words of Kevin Garnett in the 2007 Boston Celtics championship, anything is possible.
I think if we had about 50 more laps and not less than 25, I think I would be more apt to say that there is a much stronger chance that Sebastian Marin challenges for the lead. But as of right now, I don't think I'm going to say that. I think as of right now, Sebastian Marin is starting to hit that proverbial wall of where he can get to. Now, granted, that's also not saying Sebastian Marin can't prove you wrong and a caution can't change everything, because you have to keep a caution in the absolute back of your mind. But I'm just saying, as of right now, who knows? Up front, battle for the lead still heating up here, Corey. It's a 1/10 of a second, the pace difference, Drugman to all that draft coming in. We're in the bubble here. But the thing is that straightaway, as long as it is, it's just almost not long enough to get that pass done.
Yeah, that's the problem with Indy. It's a 5/8 mile straightaway, second longest straightaway on the NASCAR schedule, only to Pocono, which is, I want to say, about 3/4 of a mile long, but it's just right about here. This is where you start actually getting the toe, but now you're off the throttle, so you really only get about 3 or 4 seconds of maximum slipstream, maximum draft there. But the one good thing that Van Drugman is doing there, Brad, is just watch him. He is getting the entry. He's making sure Alt can't get that little extra foot of clean air, as we've seen other drivers doing. He's making sure he hits his line every single lap.
And that is exactly what you need to do, is just make sure that you're keeping that pressure there. I mean, this is something that I see on Wednesday nights all the time, Corey. This is a very standard thing in road course racing, and, you know, it's a very standard racing set, honestly. If you can't pass the guy on pure pace alone, make him screw up immensely. Put that pressure on, keep that pressure applied, and force him to make a mistake. Because if they make the mistake, what does that do for you? Well, it means you don't have to worry about making any sort of forced move. You just get to cruise your way on up along the inside.
Absolutely, Brad. And this is very akin to a road course race, only in the sense that it's a single file track and you have to hit your line with millimeter accuracy. Of course, next week at the, where are we at again next week? Dover, a little bit more leeway to go there with different lanes. But then we get to Darlington in 2 weeks. It's going to be a very similar picture to here. Everyone fighting for the same piece of real estate. So we'll see. And the problem is for Dylan Alt is he's trying so hard to break the bubble, Brad, that he's burning the tires in the process. We saw at the end of that long run that Scioli had managed to pull away, and you can see now it's up to 3/10. And unfortunately for Scioli, he's just made no headway since he's been in the pack.
And that sucks a lot when you're Scioli, a driver who's led multiple laps in this race, 37 laps to be precise. When you get down into that dirty air, that run, it is such a different feeling on the car. I mean, we hear drivers talk about it in real life constantly. I can think of many radio actives with Kyle Busch that I've watched on a weeknight, just not a lot to watch on YouTube. And what is the one thing I remember Kyle Busch saying time and time again? Well, it was a good car, and now I'm stuck in traffic, and it doesn't feel the same at all, and I don't know what to do about it. The car went from great to absolutely horrible as soon as I got in some air. So, guys, give me some help here.
And normally, Brad, I would roast a driver who didn't fill out the spreadsheet, and we would put in some ridiculous driver fact, but we'll play nice to Seth tonight. We'll play nice. Obviously, the meaningful race up to 28th in that Drip Dan Peakfish Camaro there, so doing the best he can. He's had some good runs this season, but obviously he's struggling here today, as many are. We're not seeing as much of that looseness on corner exit, Brad. We've seen more tight and into the wall off corner exit. We really haven't seen the snap loose that we were kind of predicted to see. But here's Connor Horn, who is looking underneath Travis Beckner. Really haven't spoken to Connor too much here today, but we should be 37th up to 11th. And again, a driver who is gaining momentum and in the top 10 in the points.
Yeah, Connor Horn has been great this season so far, and the drive up today in a track where I don't know how many times we've said that this track is hard to drive up. I mean, it's kind of proving the point for us, to be honest, of just how great Connor Horn has been doing. It's a driver that really, I think we need to keep our eyes on more going through the rest of the season, because I think the more this season goes along, the more it's going to proceed to just show itself again. With the way that this is set up, the cream will rise to the top as this season goes on. The
creme de la creme. I can't do the accentuation with the accent there because I can't do any of that stuff. It's like I can't roll my R's either, like they do in Spanish,
really?
like El Perro. It's El Perro. No, I'm not going to try to do it because I can't do it. So you can't do it either.
I mean, I usually can. It's been a long day. Give me a break here.
I'll break you off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. You know what a Kit Kat bar tastes good with? A glass of milk. And look who's getting a glass of milk. If he could keep it up here, that's going to be Van Drugman, but 17 more laps. Dylan Alt just had a good bit of wall contact there in the chute, but talk to Van Drugman about wall contact. Hasn't slowed him down, but he got that buffed out, Brad. I don't see the scuff there, but I see the scuff on that 47.
Somehow very lucky that he was able to get that repaired as quickly as he was, honestly, sitting in, because it could have been much, much worse for him. But looks like just able to capitalize on the time in the pits there, get the repairs done, and be good to go here. Jake Nichols started 10th, currently 4th. He is up 6 places, and, well, he's in that Sim Speed Shop Ford and sitting right in a good position, trying to chase down Scioli, trying to go for a top 3 here. And I'm going to be honest, I almost wouldn't be surprised if he gets right to the back there of Scioli and puts on a good challenge.
And those two obviously very competitive. You see them battling, especially in the Nope Series last year there on Solar Flare Racing. They're always someone to watch out for. Teammates that just never separate, kind of Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Peak. They always kind of have a want to one-up each other as much as they can. But something, and also for you Sebastian Marin fans, he has hit the proverbial cliff. Now he is actually losing time. He got it to the lowest of, I think, 5.2 seconds but now it's back up to over 6. So, I mean, he drove from last to top 5 with no help. So eventually, it gets harder to get more spots as you further get up the field here. But Dylan Alt, after that wall contact that has magically buffed itself out, he's fallen back now 7/10, and Scioli is actually closer to Dylan than Dylan is to Van Drugman now.
That is an interesting place to be in right now with that falling back through. I wouldn't think there would be any fuel concerns going through, but that almost reads to me like there's a light bit of fuel concern to the end. Just if that gap is starting to roll through, either Scioli has really picked up the pace, or there's a little bit of concern about fuel to the end here. But I wouldn't think there would be, because look at the stints here. Yeah,
Van Drugman would actually be more detrimented. That would be a 37-lap run. Alt, Scioli, Nichols, Marin, they all would have a 36-lap run, that meant they pit after the halfway point by 1 lap. They have a buffer. Van Drugman technically a little bit lower, so... but then again, we did see drivers such as, Reese Schaefer and whatnot. They pit lap 39.40. So at this point, I don't think there's any saving going on. Tire dead. We're right at about half a second loss. So it's nothing cataclysmic that we've seen in other weeks. But I think that damage that, again, maybe the paint, no, it's still there. Just maybe the lighting. I think that damage may have just done enough. Maybe it took off a mile an hour and 3 pounds of downforce, but sometimes that's all it takes.
And that little bit coming off just hurts. And again, it's one of those, it's so minute, even in the seat, you may not notice the difference, and you may be thinking, why am I losing time? But there's genuinely nothing you can really do about it at this point. As we watch here, just absolute pressure being applied further back, the 45. Putting down some pressure here on the 51. A little bit of a wiggle coming through. Further back in the run here, Frankie Barroso and Patrick Moose with a good little battle going on.
Isn't everybody I pull up the graphic for didn't fill up the spreadsheet? That's just Murphy's Law, how it always works out. Frankie Barroso and Michael Currian, he was top 10. He is definitely falling back to the field. Alicia Keys mode, he keeps on falling through the field here, but he was top 10 no longer. Reese Schaefer, another one of those drivers running the honorary paint scheme here on the evening, but he is not having a good day. He just cracked the top 10 in the point standings, did Reese Schaefer there on Burgarts Motorsports. There's a dog named Arlo who is 100 pounds and 40 pounds overweight. I know what it's like to be 40 pounds overweight, but it's a lot worse on a dog than it is on a human, but hopefully he's happy.
I mean, surely he's happy. If he's not, then, well, that's
he eats good, at least
problem.
You know that much.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
And when you eat good, usually you're happy. So at least until you start getting the doctor's bills in. But then we'll add that to our podcast at some point. As Logan Helton, who has, remember, right off the opening get-go, Logan Helton basically almost kamikaze the field, getting loose in the middle of a 3-wide. Never really recovered from it. And just added a little insult for injury there, having that little wall contact in turn 2. Brad, this track, one of the few tracks, and this is not an iRacing oddity, this is honest to the real Indianapolis. It's one of the few tracks that is not full perimeter safer barriered. So you have that weird little wall taper where the safer barrier exists and then goes back down to the concrete. And sometimes when you're exiting the corner or entering the corner, it gets a little awkward. You can kind of get hooked in it.
Yeah, it's weird, that taper through, it catches you off guard. And again, it's one of the things, there's a lot of weird characteristics about this track.
I can see it really here.
Yeah, if you're not expecting it, it can absolutely just throw you off and, well, kind of freak you out at the same time.
I know at the old Daytona, before they fully wrapped it, I used to hit the safer barrier on the entry of turn 3. Don't really understand the logic. I mean, it's not like Indianapolis doesn't have the money just to spend a couple extra. I don't understand the logic to it, but, they've obviously done the safer test, so they know it's all right. I've also never quite understood how the pit attenuator here is safe either, because, I mean, that could literally be a sport ender. But anyways, Brad, we got to start a podcast. I just came up with 7 topics right off the top of our head here. But
how long have we been doing this together? How many times have we said we're going to start a podcast? How many times have we not started a podcast?
I have the name and I have the opening logo sequence for it. So I literally have it's just literally a matter of doing it. There's enough racing podcasts. Who actually wants to hear us talk? So if there's more than 2 people, you know what, maybe we'll do it. But here is Josh Caudell, Tyler Nichols, 18th and 19th, snaking down to the inside. Somebody going all the way down off of the pace here. That is, I believe, Ben Pierce, who is 3 laps down. Given the fact that this race has run complete caution-free, we do have Jacob Bell, our admin. He had a penalty. He's in the pits. Hayden Swank, 4 laps down. Joseph Causey, another one running that paint scheme that we haven't seen here today. He is 4 laps down. Ben Pierce, 3 laps down. Christian DeBoer, 1 lap down. Justin Anasogak, 1 lap down. And Seth Noel, remember, someone who you expect in the top 5, Brad, week after week. He had that pit road penalty, and again, no chance to recover from it.
Yeah, that unfortunate go-through of, falling out and not having it together. That's one of the things in a race. You can have, everything going right, but practice your green flag pit stops, ladies and gentlemen, and have just the way to not have that moment happen, because if you do that, you're not going to have to worry about it. And that is sometimes better to end up in a position where you don't have to worry about a problem here, like fishing in through the 30. Jeremy Miller let that one go.
What? That's like a Dunkin' drive-thru making my coffee quickly and having it taste correctly. Jeremy Miller letting somebody go? Somebody check his temperature. Is he all right?
There's no way he's all right. That was not what I expected to see, but it happened. I don't know what to say otherwise other than it happened.
It happened. I mean, maybe there's some kind of, that's something that I know Denny Hamlin talks about on his podcast, is that kind of driver withdrawal symptom where you want to be nice to a certain driver or certain drivers because you never know when you'll need that favor in return. So let a guy go when he's faster than you. You never know when you're going to be faster and you need that same favor done. It's always good to kind of have that, good karma kind of built up in the bank, so to speak.
It really is, and you never really, you said it best. It's good to have that karma in the bank because you never know when it's going to pay back. And I mean, honestly, if you're Jeremy Miller, that might be one that it's just absolutely worth doing. Just back out of it, let it go, and let it come back to play another day. It's a long season relative. Of course, it's weird for us to say we're going all the way to the end of August, so it doesn't feel like a long season. Well, the start of August, not the end of August, but going through, it doesn't feel like a long season at the same time, but you never know where that's going to actually come back and play handy because, hey, we could go here in 2 weeks to Darlington and that come back around for Jeremy Miller and Connor Horn play nice.
Speaking of play nice, you can head over to rickshotsauce.com. Some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida is Lokahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, and South Beach Heat. And you can see which driver will win the $100 Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year title here in this very series, rickshotsauce.com. Has nothing to do with being nice, but I just needed to get it in, and I just forced a segue there. But we're closing in on 4 to go, and that's another wall impact for Dylan Alt. He has managed to get a little bit of a gap there on James Scioli, and it just makes you wonder. Again, James Scioli's pit stop was 1 second slower than Van Drugman, and he also pit a second late. So that is basically the 2 seconds that he's behind right now. 1 second in the pits, 1 second pitting a lap later. And there you go. That's the race for James Scioli.
The fact that we can summarize that down so quick is absolutely crazy. But that is just the nature of how things go. Also, the fact that this is where the field is at, and if we go and we were to look from overhead, think about how spread out this field really is right now. Look at the gaps as they sit. I mean, we could look across 2.5 miles of speedway, and you have cars all four corners of this track at any given time.
Let's see.
Really, nobody getting lapped.
Now, this is a good perspective of just distance here, to your point. Here's the leader. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you kind of have a little bit more closer proximity there. But again, we are separated on the lead lap by 37 seconds. Last one on the lead lap is going to be our Blue Tip Pool Builders Ford of Ryan Swan, Max Service. Another one, again, I'm missing them here, but glad we caught him at the last minute here in the Dan Peterson honorary Chevrolet here. But coming out of 2 laps to go, and Brad, we've been covering area for now, this is our second year of it. We've covered last season the trucks and the Pro Series. This season, of course, covering the whole shebang, but I don't think we've ever called, and I'm very hesitant to say it, an area green flag to flag, green flag race.
I'm not hesitant to say it. I don't think we have.
If the caution comes out in the next 45 seconds, I don't see it coming. The only, I mean, we're single file most of the field. Talked about how hard it is to pass here. Our keys to the race. I mean, I kind of guessed at them, but they were very well true. Dirty air, and dirty air. And again, Van Drugman has 1 lap less fuel than everybody else, but the way he's driving, it seems of no concern here as he's going to come through 3 and 4 for the penultimate time here in the Dan Fish Cancer Awareness at the Brickyard and try to get himself the famous pint of milk.
Coming through here, he's got a good margin behind him to second. 9/10 of a second as Barney waves the white flag. Top 3 come through. You see a bit of swerving in the background there for 4th place as we hit the shop area, iRacing.com. White flag here in Indianapolis through the short chute into 2. Van Drugman's led 34 laps this race, Corey. Here's the thing, the bigger stat that I want to look at. This will be win number 4 of 7 races this season for this young man. Absolutely ridiculous statistic here in area.
Absolutely. When you're hot, you can't do anything wrong. Shades of Jeff Gordon in 1998, shades of Jimmy Johnson during his peak era in the early 2010s. Van Drugman, the fastest guy in area, can't do anything wrong. No bad luck can be had. Pure dominance mode, and he's going to come down here and get himself a win at the Brickyard. Kissing the bricks. Van Drugman, win number 4 on the campaign.
Wow.
And then by 1 second over Dylan Alt. And of course, you got a feel for James Scioli. Final margin of defeat for him, 1.8 seconds. And again, we can all attribute that to pitting 1 lap later and having 1 second slower of a stop. And Sebastian Marin driving to a top 5. No help from the draft. No help from the pits. No help from cautions. Up to pure pace, drove into the top 5.
I cannot get over that 4 of 7 stat. That is absolutely legendary a drive here, as I was almost concerned Van Drugman was going to have enough fuel to eat donuts, but I think he's doing pretty okay here.
Absolutely. He's going to drive himself around here, and you know, there's always jokes about not being able to have champagne in victory lane due to age. Drivers being, Jeff Gordon in his championship in '95 having some milk because, a little running gag with Earnhardt not having champagne because he's too young. But luckily here at the Brickyard, you have yourself your choice of milk. I know every driver in the Indy 500 actually has to go and put their favorite variety of milk in their pre-race list to give to the race administrators just in case they have that pivotal moment. And he will come on here onto the front straightaway, burn it on down. Can't burn it down on the bricks. They do yell at you for that for historical reasons, but Van Drugman going to celebrate here at the Brickyard. And as he does that, Brad, let's go and give the final rundown of results here today at the Dan Pete Fish Cancer Awareness at the Brickyard.
And final results as they sit. It's Van Drugman, Dylan Alt, and James Scioli, your top 3 here on the night. Jake Nichols into 4th, and Sebastian Marin finding a great 5th place, all things considered, from last. Gavin Rogers, P6. Logan Helton in 7th. David Weishart driving it up to 8th. Connor Horn and Jeremy Miller rounding out our top 10.
Yeah, our Henry County boy Travis Beckner in 11th. Adam Cabot in 12th. Drew Jua in 13th. Garrett Tallmadge in 14th. John Forbes 15th. Alex McCullum, AJ Stravato 16th and 17th. Rounding out our top 20. Tyler Nichols, Josh Caudell, and Michael Curhan. And then just rounding things through here for the results, we'll let them scroll on by. Of course, Seth Berger, 28th. We want to give him the shout. This is his honorary race on behalf of his fallen friend. I know it was very emotional. He did the best he could there in 28th. Of course, some big names here on this sheet as well. Seth Noel with that pit road penalty and just no time to recover from it in a flag-to-flag race here at the Brickyard. Of course, Kwame and Brad did not qualify. But Brad, I mean, he's basically your BFF. You got him on speed dial now. I've talked to him so many times here this season, and I know you've caught up with the kid, Van Drugman, once again.
Absolutely. Where is Van Drugman? Got to wait on the burnouts to finish up here. There's Van Drugman. Van Drugman, how often are we going to meet like this?
Who's going to put a seat for you up here?
Season. I mean, come on. I'm going to start making you commentate and race, try to give you a bit of a challenge. Talk to me about it.
Man, if you want, reserve me a seat every week, even if I finish 32nd. But, you know, as a driver, I want to say it's a great race, especially since I won. But, man, that thing, it was a parade fest. I mean, you were able to make some moves, but you cannot make a move in the leader. And I knew going into pit stops, like, I have to undercut James and Dylan. And I made sure to pit first. Like, I made sure to pit first. Or at least if they pit with me, I just get as much as I can on pit road. And I pitted first, got the lead. And at that point, I was kind of backing up to Dylan to give him dirty air in just so I could even that tire advantage of a lap. And, you know, once it started to even off and I started gaining a little bit, I was like, okay, I just gotta manage. And with like 5-6 to go, my internet started going haywire. I yelled at my mom in the living room telling her, turn her phone off, and it fixed itself. Because I was tweaking for a second. I see the bar up at the top start like going haywire. I'm like, bro, I might lag out.
Bro almost lost a race because of Candy Crush.
Oh,
yeah, it was Facebook Reels. I'm not it's gonna be Facebook Reels.
All right, you know what?
But I would have been so upset because I missed my school award ceremony today, and I was supposed to get a scholarship, but I missed that to do this. And if I would have lost because of that, I would have been so mad. Like, you don't even understand. I would have been furious. But it didn't happen. I'm glad we won. You know, I'm having a blast, and when you are having fun and momentum's high, you know, it's hard to break it. I mean, tried to break it at Michigan, but, you know, I just came back stronger. And, you know, let's do it next week. You know, I'll see y'all next week, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my follow-up question to everything is, where do you go from here, man? Like, I don't know where you go from here at this point, because you just seem to be on a roll that can't be stopped.
Well, you know, it helps that Seabass is getting all these EOL penalties, because he would have gapped us by probably like 2 seconds for that entire race because of the draft and yada yada. But if you really do want to race him one time, where do we go next week and see if we can put on a good show, potentially?
Absolutely. And man, Van Drugman, before we let you go, anyone you want to thank or shout out, the floor is yours.
Well, I want to take some moment. Indianapolis was kind of hold this place in my heart, because I remember the last time I raced in Indianapolis in the Xfinity car, I won that race, and that was the same day my grandma died. So kind of coming here, and she died on a Monday too. So coming here, like, you know, on Mondays, especially in Indianapolis, you know, it holds a special place. So this goes out to my grandma, passed away this year, and, you know, a happy late Mother's Day to my mom and her too. So that's who I want to thank. This one's to them, but let's keep it rolling.
Absolutely. Congratulations, man, on another win. And, well, who knows when we'll talk to you again. We'll find out, though.
Yep, I will see. Thank you, man.
And I think from there, Corey, I think you've caught up with James Scioli sitting back waiting.
All right, Mr. James Scioli, second place here, or rather third place on the day. Unfortunately, well, we were doing the analytics in the booth with you, for you, and 1 second slower of a pit stop and 1 second later in the pits, and you lost by about 2 seconds. So that kind of sums it up for you. Is that more or less what happened?
Yeah, pretty much. Unfortunately, we just kind of got to a point where it was a parade. You know, you'd stay kind of close on fresher tires, and then you'd get to about 8/10ths back, and that was where you stayed. So definitely, obviously, what I wish that I pitted a lap earlier. I ended up having a lap car come out right in front of me, so I caught some dirty air, and then, yeah, just not quite as good on and off the pits, I don't think. So that's pretty much what did it. Happy to qualify up front, have good pace, and be able to stay up there for sure.
Well, I mean, not that it's fun to say, but it's going to be a good points day because obviously Seth had his issues with pit road penalty and no time to evade it. But was there any enjoyment in the race? I know obviously no wrecks, no cautions, no strategy calls. Would you rather have had a little something to spice it up, or is it kind of nice having a green flag race even if it's impossible to pass?
I mean, that is how I prefer the racing. I prefer it to be green flag, but, you know, I do wish that either the draft was stronger, the dirty air was a little less, or maybe the tire wear percentage difference had a little bit more impact. And, I mean, we just never fell off. We were within a couple tenths of our fastest lap pretty much the whole race, so I think that was a big part of it, too. So, yeah, definitely wish there was a little bit more to spice it up, just car-wise, but, you know, I do enjoy a nice natural green run to run things out.
Absolutely, man. Well, like I said, a good points day nonetheless, and we'll see you at the Monster Mile next week, a track where definitely you won't have as many of these same issues, albeit a little dirty here, but I'll give you the chance for any shout-outs.
Yeah, first off, shout out to you guys. Thanks for capturing these races. We really appreciate you guys and the admin team as well. I think we made everybody's job a little easy tonight, and everybody got off a little early, so probably no complaints there. Big shout out Solar Flare, finished 3rd and 4th, so another good team points day. Shout out JWR Race Cars Sim Speed Shop for being on the car, and hopefully we are talking to you guys again next week at Dover.
Absolutely, man. Congrats on the great job, and you'll get that dub one of these days. We know it.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
And just looking through, we do not have our second place of Dylan Alt, so just double checking, and it seems to be valid. So, Brad, the first green flag area race I think we've ever covered, and you know, very seldom do I nail the keys to the race, but dirty air, making the right call at the right time, and that's what Van Drugman did.
Yeah, I mean, just working the run. We did the math, of course, and we said where those 2 seconds came from. And in the end, Boy Wonder, I'm going to run out of nicknames for Van Drugman. Boy Wonder, Dominator, I don't know. I need to see Van Drugman run through and just stop winning for a second. Let's get somebody else up here.
Well, that's what forced NASCAR to change the championship format when Jimmy Johnson was too dominant. So make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe here on the channel. Consider following if you're on Twitch. Stay tuned. We'll be back live tomorrow night with double duty here on PTR TV, area trucks, and triple bypass. So a lot of action here on the channel. And we do want to just wrap up with some final words from Seth Berger. He wanted to say it in the opening, again, in behalf of his fallen friend Dan Pete Fish in the cancer awareness race. Try to take any negative situation and turn it into a positive. You never know when the last chance is going to be to say bye to somebody, to make amends with somebody, to end that fight, end that hatred. You never know when your last opportunity is going to be, and you want to take it because you just never know, and you don't want to have that living on your head for the rest of your life. So just little words to take there and to go home with here on the evening. But that's going to be Corey and Brad signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.